McGillicuddy and Murder's Pawn Shop. Episode 8. Fresh Murder. September 14th, 1921. Continued. I sat in the cave at the bottom of the sea, ready to drown to death. The water bubbled around my nose and mouth. I'd been sitting down in a dramatic show of accepting death, but as soon as the water reached my scalp, I stood up, sputtering. I was really starting to panic now. I'm claustrophobic, and the cave was filling in with water. It eddied around my waist. The white pixie fluttered around my head. "There's still time to kill me," she said. "No," I exclaimed. I made up my mind. My teeth were chattering. The cave smelled like salt and seaweed, and I began to grow nauseated. I wished I'd never come here, I thought. I wish I could go home. The water came to my chin. One more time, I considered killing the pixie. I considered becoming a broken, darkened thing, just for the chance to hold on to life a little longer. It suddenly seemed stupid to deny myself life, just to maintain the moral high ground. But the choice was what stalled me. They hadn't given me a choice. This was some twisted game, some brutal manipulation. Suddenly I knew I would die. I knew I wasn't going to kill the pixie, the piece of myself. I couldn't let someone else direct my fate like that. I couldn't be a pawn. I had to die as myself. The water gushed up under my chin. I stood on tiptoe. The cave was filling faster now. With a helpless gurgle, I was submerged. I stood in the water, breath held, knowing things were about to get nasty. I had a few more moments of clear-headedness before I would gulp for air and gulp in water instead. I wished for a place that wasn't this, a safe space to die. I wished for a sunset or a seaside bungalow, or what was still my favorite place on earth, a pawn shop. In a wordless, tiny flutter, I wished for McGillicuddy and Murders. I crashed down onto my knees, sopping wet and gulping for breath. But breath! I could breathe. I opened my eyes, and I wasn't in the cave at the bottom of the sea. I was on the second floor of McGillicuddy and Murders' pawn shop. I rolled onto my side, coughing and heaving. My dress was so wet, I lay in a puddle on the dark wood floor. After a few more minutes of heavy breathing, I shifted onto my back and stared at the ceiling. McGillicuddy and Murders was dark. It was closed for the night. I could hear automobiles pass on the street outside, but the pawn shop was deliciously quiet. I felt safe and soothed. I got up onto my knees. I could guess what had happened. I had transitioned into a fully formed magic unusual, just as the water rose over my head. I could now teleport to anywhere I wanted, with a simple thought. As soon as I realized that, I wished to be in my apartment. I arrived. The room was still dark, the door shut, the way Renfield and I had left it. The window to the fire escape was open. Quickly, I grabbed my bag, stuffed this diary, a change of clothes, money, and a few toiletries inside. Then I wished for McGillicuddy and Murders once more, and I landed back in my old puddle. I sat down. I held my bag against my knees and wondered what to do next. Renfield and the night enthusiasts would come for me. They'd keep looking for me until I was back in their power. I couldn't go back to work for Mr. Levy and behave as though everything were normal. Everything was not normal. I was a fugitive. I was a fugitive who could travel anywhere on Earth. I don't know how the night enthusiasts expected to catch me, if I could just pop over to China and spend the rest of my days in the Orient. If I could teleport to anywhere in the world, how would they know where to look? But perhaps they anticipated my problem, and my problem was this. I needed to know more. I was like a firework waiting to go off. Surely there were limitations to what I could do. What if there were also dangers, serious consequences? What if my organs melted if I teleported 3 times in the same day? I needed to talk to another magic unusual, and the only other magic unusual I'd ever met was the old man from McGillicuddy and Murders. I couldn't go off and live in Paris until I'd spoken to the old man. First I had to find out what I was, and he was my only hope. First things first, I found a quiet corner, behind a few racks of dresses, and I dragged a love seat back there. I propped it up with pillows, found a nice quilt, and then got changed. I hung my wet dress up to dry, snuggled down on the love seat, and began this diary entry. It's about 2 hours later. I've written so much I think my hand is going to fall off. But I'm too wired to sleep, and I had to get it all out. This morning my life was normal, but the dawn of September 15th will bring a brand new world. I still don't know what to think, or what to do. I don't know if I can trust the old man. I certainly couldn't trust Renfield. But I'm going to have to take my chances. I don't understand why the old man teleported away from me, or why he refused to tell me anything about magic unusuals. Maybe he's an old grump, and he wants to keep his magic to himself. But Renfield said that magic unusuals unlock each other's power. The old man recognized a magic unusual in me, and that's why he gave me the eye. He made sure my powers broke free. So why do it, and then not tell me anything? Well, diary, I'm starting to get a headache, and my vision is blurry. If the night enthusiasts show up, they can just take me back into their clutches, as long as they let me sleep through it. I hope I wake up before the pawn shop opens tomorrow. September 15th, 1921. I did wake up before the pawn shop opened. Sort of. I heard voices on the first floor, and I woke up in a flash. Waking up quickly has never been my cup of tea, and I felt nauseated and ready to bite off someone's head. I packed my dress from the night before, which had dried. I put my shoes back on, and then I just sat on the love seat, heels together, ready for someone to get too close. If they did, I'd teleport. It wasn't night enthusiasts downstairs, just some pawn shop employees. They were preparing to open for the day, and I grew painfully bored, waiting for 10 o'clock when the pawn shop opened. At about 10:15, I finally stood up. I decided to wander around and see if I could find the old man. I walked downstairs, looking as innocent as possible. You can't see the front door of the pawn shop from the counter, so really, any employee who saw me could assume I came in the regular way. The woman behind the counter was new, and I felt a pang of terror. What if the old man had quit? And she was his replacement? What if I'd never be able to find him? My life was about to become inexpressibly lonely, unless I could find someone else like me. I wandered out into the street to get a bit of fresh air, and to remind myself that people still existed, even if I wasn't quite a part of their world anymore. A newsboy caught my eye, a boy about 11 or 12, waving one of his papers in the air. "Murder! Murder! Read all about it! Young woman murders relative!" Young women never murder people. I was intrigued. A line had formed around the boy, promising a long wait, but I spotted an abandoned paper on a bench. I went and picked it up. "Young murderess shocks city," the headline proclaimed. Underneath the headline was a picture of me. We hope you've enjoyed episode 8, Fresh Murder, of McGillicuddy and Murders Pawn Shop. McGillicuddy and Murders Pawn Shop is written and performed by Minerva Sweeney Wren, all rights reserved. Please subscribe, share it with your friends, and support Minerva Sweeney Wren at patreon.com/Sweeney Wren. McGillicuddy and Murders Pawn Shop will continue next week with episode 9. an invitation.